Thank you very much. I'm happy to be back, and it is my true honor and pleasure to introduce and kick off this special session on smart manufacturing, showcasing some of the experiences and examples from the Swedish point of view. We have about 1 hour, and we have 4 speakers. And I'd like to say some introductory words about this, because smart manufacturing is actually something with a very long tradition in Sweden. And I would say that AI and 5G are only really the latest enablers. Let me give you some examples. Slide, please. So here on the picture you can see a gentleman called Carl Edvard Johansson. He is not particularly known. This Swedish gentleman lived from 1846 to 64 to 1943. He is known because he invented the gauge blocks. What are gauge blocks? Well, that is small metal pieces with extremely accurate measurements. And when you put those pieces together, you could know the exact length and radiuses of various machines in manufacturing. And this is something that could be brought from one factory to another. So at the time, when the measurements weren't very accurate, this is something that enabled mass production. So Mr. Johansson, or Measurement Johansson as he was called, he got a patent in the United States before he did so in Sweden. And these measurement pieces, these gauge blocks, enabled, for instance, they were brought up by Henry Ford, so the T-Fords of the 1920s and earlier other types of industries in the United States were enabling the mass production. That is one early example of Swedish smart manufacturing. Let me give you another example. Yeah. So here is a picture of industrial robots. And this is some of the earliest examples. We already saw that in the pictures and the promo videos earlier today. That's everywhere in factories today. But when they came in the late 60s and the early 70s, it was quite revolutionary. So the Swedish company called ASEA, which is today ABB, were pioneering the development of industrial robots in the early 1970s, taking early prototypes from the United States, developing them, investing money for years before this became profitable, but that has ever since become a huge success, copied everywhere. So that is an example of Swedish innovation where they took the lead and pioneered something that we take for granted today. Slide, please. So I'd just like to say that in Sweden, innovation is really in our DNA. That goes for manufacturing, and it goes for many other areas. And today, during this session, you will be able to listen to some state-of-the-art Swedish examples of application of AI in smart manufacturing. So you will soon hear Mr. Park Dong-ju from LG Ericsson here in Korea. And you will also hear from Mr. Lee Myung-ho from Atlas Copco here in Korea. They will share their experiences and their knowledge about this. But before we listen to these industrial company examples, I'm so pleased to introduce 2 other persons. First of all, Dr. Anders Hector, who is the Innovation and Science Counselor at the Swedish Embassy in Seoul, and then Professor Fredrik Heinz from Linköping University in Sweden. So Dr. Hector, he will give you the backstory really of how Swedish government is promoting and pushing and encouraging smart manufacturing and the use of AI and innovation to show how the public Sweden is supporting this. Professor Heinz is an interesting person. He is heading up a private sector initiative funded heavily by the private sector in Sweden and situated at Linköping University, promoting research and development in the AI sector. So without further ado, I'd like to present and introduce and welcome Dr. Hector to the stage. And thank you so much. Have fun.